because I can see it here that it's working.
So now hopefully everyone hears me.
Yeah. Okay. Can
Okay.
you hear Sasha now? Yes. Okay. Chat is saying
Yes.
yes. Okay, we're good.
People in the back row, you can hear me as well. Right. So okay, to go back to where we
Yeah, yeah.
stopped. Yeah.
So yeah, we're still talking about basically anything that you'd see would go into core. I think you're going in the direction that you don't feel like a lot of things need to be added to core. The core of a language should be just the basics. Is kind of that where we're going.
Yeah, I think it's good as it is. There are probably some things missing, but uh, as I said, I think that the core team is kind of being, conservative about it. If they are not sure, they're not going to let every single feature in. I think this is a very sensible decision because it leaves them room to work on the existing things, so they don't spread themselves too thin. At the same time, exploring the ideas such as the one I'm doing with Boundary, for example, and many other, we can do that from libraries. This is what, Elixir is designed to be extensible, and this is a pretty cool thing. So we can extend it in a really lot of ways, and maybe if something makes sense, it will land into Elixir sooner or later. Once it starts making sense. The good example of this are releases. So even though it was clear that we need support for releases, Jose, the team, they weren't really sure how should this look like, and so they let it a long time. I think when did we get mixed release? In something like 1.8 or 1.9, something like that.
Yeah.
So definitely has been years until they finally said, okay, now we are going to have releases out of the box in Elixir. So yeah.
Okay, so we're running out of time. I'll ask you one last question, or you can just talk about what you want. My last question is, if there's people listening to this that are trying to or just starting with Elixir, what would you recommend as like good first steps to learn the language?
Mhm. So for me, like even as a book author, what I recommend is going to the getting started guides, at least for people who are otherwise experienced programmers. So if have been working in other languages, definitely go to the getting started of the elixir-lang.org. Go through those. Obviously, you're not going to really become a guru or an expert, but you're going to try the technology. You're going to get some action immediately rather than reading through hundreds of pages. And after that, it really depends on what's your style. I mean, as I see people sometimes saying some people prefer like more like visual communication, so they prefer videos. Other prefer to read books, and yet there are other group of people who prefer to just code and figure stuff as they go along. So this really depends on your personal preferences. I think there are a lot of great books in Elixir space. I'm not just going to advertise my own. So there are other really great books. I read many of them, so I can personally testify to that. And I don't know really about casts or video tutorials because I'm not into those kind of things myself. Just my personal preference, nothing else. I think probably the only challenge is if you are like completely new to Elixir, and so I'm still not sure what would I recommend here. I could definitely say, as the author of Elixir in Action, that this book is not geared toward complete beginners. So you may either want to try Dave's book, or there is another one by Ryan Big, which I constantly forgot the name of. But yeah, that's one is supposedly geared towards
Also, someone that
beginners. Joy,
used to be at the Ruby community as well, Ryan.
yeah,
What's the
Joy
name?
of Elixir,
Joy of
yeah.
Elixir. Okay.
Joy of Elixir, right? So that's the one, as far as I know, which is geared completely towards beginners. I didn't read it, so I cannot say anything else about it. Yeah.
Okay. That's fine. Sasha, was a pleasure having you. Thanks for taking the time. And
Okay, thank you very much for inviting me. Yeah, this was really fun, and hopefully once this whole thing blows over, we're gonna see each other live again. Yeah,
hopefully you can come to Portugal now.
yeah, looking forward to it.
Okay, Sasha. Bye.
Okay, thank you.
Oops. Okay, so everyone, before we go, I just wanted to remind you that Uh, 4th of May, we're having here at Subvisual a workshop. You can go to getgoing.subvisual.com. It's geared at developers that want to learn how to code in Elixir and Phoenix. If you use the code Subvisual Talks, you'll get a 50% off discount. Either way, all the profits are going to a COVID charity. So go to getgoing.subvisual.com, sign up, and see you there. And see you next week for another edition of Subvisual Live Talks. Bye.